a stormy sea, a medieval castle in the distance. Two pairs of eyes meet, filled with a burning intensity. Tristan and Isolde. Their love story defies time, kings, promises, and even fate. A forbidden love, stronger than death, an all-consuming passion that devours them from within. But what's really hidden behind this legend? What if Tristan and Isolde were more than just a romantic tragedy? What if this story contains hidden secrets, dark origins, and a universal message that still resonates today? Get ready to dive into the heart of the legend of Tristan and Isolde. Together, we will decode the hidden symbols, examine the different versions, and discover why this story of an impossible love still fascinates us. The story of Tristan and Isolde is one of the most famous from the Middle Ages, but its roots go back to a much earlier time. The Celtic influence. The myth has its origin in Celtic legends that were passed down orally from the 5th century onwards. The bards sang of forbidden love, tragic fates, and the magic that lurks in the forests. The French version. Medieval authors like Chrétien de Troyes transformed the legend into a courtly romance, which had a lasting influence on European literature. Greek parallels. Some compare the story to that of Pyramus and Thisbe, or Hero and Leander, while others see connections to Norse myths. So what is the true story? To understand the enduring power of Tristan and Isolde, we have to go back to the misty origins of the legend. Long before fancy romance stories and grand operas, the story lived on in songs and tales, passed down through generations. These pieces of the story, nourished by oral tradition, were rooted in a world where magic was everywhere. A world of enchanted forests, mysterious druids, and Celtic warriors who faced tragic destinies. The bards, keepers of shared memories, sang of unrequited love, heroic deeds, and the supernatural forces that ruled over life and death. Their songs, full of poetry and longing, captured the imaginations of people who were captivated by the extraordinary. From this rich soil of myths and legends, the story of Tristan and Isolde blossomed, nourished by ancient symbols and universal themes that have stood the test of time. The Celtic influence on the legend of Tristan and Isolde is undeniable. Even the name Isolde, derived from the Celtic Isilt, meaning the one who flows, evokes a deep connection with nature and the supernatural. The love potion, a central element of the story, also finds a strong resonance in Celtic tradition. Druids, masters of plants and potions, were known for their ability to influence emotions and destinies with their magical brews. The love potion, a symbol of irresistible and destructive passion, embodies the duality of love, at once a source of joy and sorrow, of life and death. The legend of Tristan and Isolde unfolds in a context where love and death, passion and duty are inextricably intertwined, reflecting the tragic and poetic worldview of the Celts. In the 12th century, the story of Tristan and Isolde saw a resurgence in popularity thanks to the troubadours, traveling poets, and musicians who visited the courts of Europe. Their refined art, imbued with the ideals of courtly love, transformed the Celtic legend into a romantic tale of knightly love. Tristan, the valiant knight, and Isolde, the lady of unparalleled beauty, became the embodiments of courtly love, an idealized love filled with passion, sorrow, and self-sacrifice. The code of chivalry, the weight of honor, and the complexity of social relationships give the legend a psychological and social dimension. The love of Tristan and Isolde, caught in the web of social conventions and power plays, becomes a symbol of the eternal struggle between the individual and society, between desire and duty. Tristan, a brave and loyal young knight, is sent on a dangerous mission by his uncle, King Mark of Cornwall. His task, to find Isolde the Fair, Princess of Ireland. She is promised to the king to bring peace between their two kingdoms. The journey is full of danger, mirroring the hero's journey. Tristan braves wild storms and monstrous sea creatures, symbols of the perils that await those who dare to explore the unknown. In Ireland, disguised to conceal his true identity, Tristan distinguishes himself through his courageous deeds. He defeats a terrifying dragon that has been threatening the kingdom, winning the admiration and respect of all, including Isolde. One look is all it takes. In the midst of the court, their paths cross. An irresistible attraction ignites between the knight and the princess, the beginning of a forbidden passion that will consume them. The return to Cornwall is overshadowed by an event that will forever seal the fate of our two heroes. the drinking of a love potion. Entrusted to Isolde's servant Brangain, this magic potion was intended to unite the princess and King Mark in an unbreakable bond of love. But by a cruel twist of fate, Tristan and Isolde, misled by the similarity of the goblets, unknowingly drink the love potion. The effect is immediate and irresistible. An all-consuming passion, impossible to control, takes hold of them, binding them together in absolute and transcendental love. Their love, now bound by magic, becomes stronger than reason, stronger than loyalty, stronger even than death itself. Their passion, at first a source of ecstasy and happiness, gradually transforms into a sweet and deadly poison, eating away at them from the inside, condemning them to live in secrecy and lies. Back at the court of Cornwall, Tristan and Isolde are prisoners of their forbidden love. They seek each other out, find each other, and tear themselves apart again, in a painful and passionate dance. Every encounter is agony, every farewell is heartache. King Mark, blinded by his love for Isolde, senses the betrayal. Rumors arise, fueled by envy and resentment. Tristan, torn between his love for Isolde and his loyalty to his king and friend, sinks into despair. Betrayed, banished from court, Tristan and Isolde flee and seek refuge in the magical forest of Morrois. Their secret love, far from the world and its conventions, lasts only a short time. Fate, merciless, finally catches up with them. Tristan, fatally wounded in battle, calls for Isolde. Only her presence, only her love can ease his pain. Why does the story of Tristan and Isolde, despite its tragic ending, still captivate us? Why does it continue to touch and fascinate us? Perhaps because it acts like a mirror, reflecting our own desires, our hidden wishes, and our deepest fears. Forbidden love, the central theme of the legend, resonates with each of us. Who hasn't felt that irresistible attraction to the unattainable, that burning desire for what is forbidden? Tristan and Isolde, trapped in their passion, embody this eternal struggle between heart and mind, between the individual and societal conventions. Their love, as pure as it is destructive, reminds us that even the strongest feelings cannot always bend to the laws of the world. Their story, far from a simple medieval fairy tale, makes us reflect on the nature of love itself, on its limits, its dangers, but also on its immeasurable power and its ability to overcome even the most insurmountable obstacles. The legend of Tristan and Isolde is filled with a deep sense of fate. From the moment their eyes meet, fate seems to have a hand in their story, weaving its unstoppable web around the lovers. The love potion, the catalyst of their passion, appears as a tool of fate, an external element that seals their love in an embrace as intoxicating as it is destructive. Tristan and Isolde's attempts to escape their destiny, to build a future together, are thwarted by the cruelty of fate. Their love, doomed from the start, can only flourish in secrecy and sorrow. Their death, tragic and inevitable, seems to be the only possible end to their story, the only way out for a love too strong, too pure, to exist in the world of men. Passion and loyalty, an unsolvable dilemma. The legend of Tristan and Isolde is not just about impossible love, it also explores a universal theme that's still relevant today: the conflict between passion and duty. Tristan, a knight, bound by an oath of loyalty to his king, finds himself caught between his heart and his duty. His love for Isolde, however strong, cannot erase his loyalty to his king. King Mark, representing order and justice, embodies the values of medieval society. His dilemma, just as painful as Tristan's, shows the limits of law in the face of the heart's desires. The legend of Tristan and Isolde offers no easy solution to this impossible choice. It confronts us with our own contradictions, the complexity of human relationships, and the impossible decisions that life sometimes demands of us. The artistic legacy. The story of Tristan and Isolde didn't end in the Middle Ages. Its emotional power, its universality, and its tragic beauty have inspired countless artists throughout the centuries. Starting in the 19th century, the Romantic era rediscovered the legend with a passion. Richard Wagner, a central figure in German opera, elevated the impossible love of Tristan and Isolde to a musical myth. His monumental work, Tristan and Isolde, which premiered in 1865, is considered a pinnacle of musical drama. Wagner's music, both sensual and heartbreaking, conveys the all-consuming passion of the lovers, their suffering, and their inevitable fate with shocking intensity. The opera, a true masterpiece of the Romantic repertoire, helped to introduce the legend to a wider audience. Beyond opera, the legend of Tristan and Isolde inspired painters, sculptors, poets, and writers. From John William Waterhouse to Edwin Arlington Robinson, from the Pre-Raphaelites to the Symbolists, artists embraced the myth and reinterpreted it through the lens of their own sensibilities and their time. The 20th and 21st centuries are no exception. The big screen and television have embraced the legend, offering adaptations that are more or less faithful to the original, some more successful than others, but always with a certain fascination for this legendary couple. A good example is the movie Tristan and Isolde by Kevin Reynolds from 2006, starring James Franco and Sophia Myles. Although the adaptation takes some liberties with the original story, it manages to convey the tragic intensity of the love affair and the power of the myth. Beyond the boundaries of film, the legend of Tristan and Isolde remains an inspiration for literature, comics, video games, and even pop music. This proves that the story's appeal is unbroken and runs through generations and different art forms. These modern interpretations, rather than distorting the myth, help to keep it alive, to let it live on in our collective memory, and to open it up for new interpretations. After so many centuries, why does the legend of Tristan and Isolde still touch us and echo in our thoughts? It's probably because it speaks to universal themes that go beyond time and cultures. Impossible love, the power of fate, the struggle between passion and duty, the search for happiness, and the weight of sacrifice. These are all themes that still resonate strongly with our lives and dreams today. The legend of Tristan and Isolde reminds us that love, as beautiful and exciting as it can be, can also bring pain and destruction. It reinforces the idea that our choices, even the most difficult ones, shape our destiny. Ultimately, the legend of Tristan and Isolde holds up a mirror to us, allowing us to see our own contradictions, our hopes, and our fears. The story of Tristan and Isolde, even after all these centuries, has lost none of its fascination. This timeless tale stays with us, makes us think, makes us question. How can this eternal echo be explained, this echo that resonates through the centuries? Perhaps because unfulfilled love, fate, and the conflict between passion and duty are themes that are deeply rooted in the human psyche. Tristan and Isolde embody these universal dilemmas that we all face at some point. Their love, as pure as it is destructive, reminds us that the strongest feelings do not always abide by social norms. Their tragic fate confronts us with the power of chance and the inevitability of passing time. Tristan and Isolde, it is the story of a passion that transcends death, a love that crosses boundaries, a myth that captivates us with its tragic beauty and psychological depth. The beauty of the legend of Tristan and Isolde lies in its ability to reinvent itself throughout the centuries. Each era, each artist, each viewer projects their own fantasies, their own fears, their own desires onto it. What does the love potion represent? A simple storytelling device or a metaphor for the invincible power of passion? Are Tristan and Isolde the victims of a cruel fate or the architects of their own tragedy? So many questions with no definitive answers that continue to debate surrounding the legend to this day. Each generation reinterprets the myth, interpreting it in the light of its own historical and cultural context. The story of Tristan and Isolde is ultimately the story of love in all its facets. Passionate, destructive, unconditional, impossible. A love that transcends us, surpasses us, overwhelms us. A love that, despite the centuries and boundaries, makes us dream, suffer, and hope. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the timeless legend of Tristan and Isolde. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and share the video with others who would appreciate the beauty and depth of this ancient tale. Stay tuned for more explorations of the myths and legends that have shaped our world.